He said he's in a bunch of two quarterback leagues, and he's got him on his bench just waiting for this. So good move. There you go.
Now, I do have one exotic idea.
Taysom Hill.
Yep.
Yeah,
Adding
exactly.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
I really think that that's a really good option because obviously with Teddy Bridgewater, look, he looked lackluster. It's tough to go in a game like that. We'll see what happens from here on out.
Yeah.
But Sean Payton loves Taysom Hill, and this just gives him an excuse to use him even more. And I think that's actually worth it. If you have like an extra bench spot or something like that, or if you're in a 2-quarterback league like I am, I mean, what are you going to do? Add Luke Falk or Taysom Hill?
Yeah.
And I think it's Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Expectations can't be too high for him. I think Bridgewater's the highest paid second or backup quarterback in the league.
He's making $7.5 million.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously he's going to be the starting quarterback, but yeah, I agree. In a 2-quarterback league, that's somebody to add for sure.
Let's talk running backs. Dustin DeHart's in studio. Nova Home Loans. Trust us on fantasy football. We win. We can be trusted. Let's talk running backs.
Yeah.
How are we feeling right now about Le'Veon Bell on a really bad team with no quarterback? And, man, I was buyer beware on James Conner. I thought there was going to be a regression this year, and it ain't been good so far.
Yeah. So I would think that with Le'Veon Bell, the touches are going to be there. The only issue is that he is going to be the focal point of the offense. And how effective is he going to be with every single defense focusing on him? Like a guy like Christian McCaffrey has done well, but there's more weapons, and you have Cam Newton to kind of take away some of the pressure. With a guy like Le'Veon Bell, where it's Luke Falk and maybe Robbie Anderson, I'm not sure how much you can get out of him.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell in a PPR league, because you know he's going to be captain checkdown. I mean, I'm sure he's going to get a lot more receptions, right? So, I mean, and he didn't look bad to me. I mean, yeah, James Conner, I was not on it at all. So I'm concerned about him for sure. Le'Veon Bell, not so much. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, they're going to load the box, and it's going to be tough for him. But, I mean, he's a stud. So I'm not too concerned about him. And I think he's going to pick up a lot more receptions.
Yeah. Try to hash out some position situations with certain teams. Seattle Seahawks, wide receiver. I took a flyer on DK Metcalf.
Yep.
I didn't like him in the draft. I was like, this guy's way too muscled up. But I'm like, you know what? He's available. I didn't expect this.
Yeah, he's awesome. He actually leads Seattle in wide receivers and targets. So he's been targeted more than a guy like Lockett. And now, granted, I think Lockett only had like 2 targets because they were shutting him down in the Cincinnati game.
Yeah, but he scores touchdowns.
Well, of course, right? on the one reception.
Right.
I thought Metcalf had a high ceiling, and the fact that he's getting more targets through 2 weeks, I love him. And I took a flyer on him as well. He went undrafted, so he was my first pickup and just stashed him on the bench. But then, due to some complications the first week, I was like, let's start him. And he's been great, and I've started him 2 weeks thus far, and I think he's like, if he's a free agent in your league, you got to go get him.
Absolutely. I actually drafted him and Lockett in my main league. And I'll tell you, I'm still starting Lockett this week, but if he steps up and shines again, I mean, next week I really have to look at him.
Might not be there.
Yeah. Well, I have him.
Oh, okay.
I have them both. He's on my
not
bench.
as a pickup. Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Broncos running back situation.
Yeah,
What's the deal?
So this was interesting. I was doing some reading. This is from ESPN. So Royce Freeman, in terms of like PPR leagues and whatnot, he ran 21 routes last week against Chicago, posted 7 targets, 5 receptions, 48 yards, compared to 7 targets, 4 receptions for 30 yards from Lindsey on 23 routes. That was flipped in week 1.
Right.
So Lindsey actually led in routes, targets, and yardage. I have no idea what to do with this kind of a situation because both are really effective. They're both really good runners. They split time. Like, they're both untouchable for me. Like, I have no idea what to do with this.
My sentiments exactly. I didn't want anything to do with these two in the draft. And, like, if one of these guys don't go down, I don't know how you have any confidence putting anyone in your lineup right now, for sure.
Now, like a situation like Chicago, so I was big on Montgomery coming out into the season, and week 1 was disappointing. He had the least snaps among running backs, and he was still like relatively effective in a small sample size. He had the most snaps among his position here in week 2 against the Broncos. So I think that was a situation where you were feeling confident, like this will even out essentially, and it did, and it looks like it's going to be like that from here on out. But these two, no idea.
Yeah, the Mike Davis situation that was puzzling to me. But yeah, it looks like he's. I mean, you traded up to draft him for a reason. He's definitely the most talented back on the team. So I think moving forward, he's somebody you can start with confidence for sure.
What do you think of your Colts from a weapon standpoint? Well, first of all, is Brissett going to throw for, 175 every week? And who are his weapons?
So he might throw for 175 or 200 yards every week, but he'll have 2 to 3 touchdowns every single week. It seems like is what he's done up to this point.
That'd be nice.
So yeah, that would be great. Who cares about yards if you're scoring points? But at this point, it's just been T.Y. Hilton And that's really it. Like fantasy-wise, there's been nothing really. There's 3 Colts I think you want to have.
Is Paris Campbell?
Paris Campbell hasn't really been that because they've been rationing. Like they've been like Deion Kane, the kid that they drafted last year, tore his ACL in training camp, has been coming along pretty strong. But they even out the snaps so much that it's hard to really get who the third, second wide receivers are going to be.
Right.
So the 3 guys that you want that are Colts are Brissett, T.Y. Hilton, and Marlon Mack.
Right.
Like that's it because they use Marlon Mack a lot in the running game. Obviously, he had over what would they have 200 yards against the Titans and didn't do that well. Or excuse me, against the Chargers, didn't do that well against the Titans. But at this point, that's all you want out of these 3 because he seems to really have a good connection with T.Y. Hilton.
Best pickups coming up here in less than 3 minutes. But we want to mention what's going on with Dustin this week. Dustin DeHart is here, Nova Home Loans. Every week we check in on the mortgage tune-up idea.
Yeah.
And I know you have a bunch of people calling you now. 577-2600. Explain the concept. And did you work with someone today?
I did, yeah. So look, at rates went up a little bit last week. Look, they don't go in a down line forever, so they tick up, they tick down. We're heading back in the right direction, but had a great phone call today. Actually, an ESPN guy, Steve.
Good.
Bought about a year and a half ago, put 5% down, so he has mortgage insurance, right? His house is actually worth a lot more, not a lot more, but enough to where it's 85% loan to value. So what I mean by that is you still need mortgage insurance, but instead of paying that monthly mortgage insurance, what I did for him is I'm buying it out, right? It's a small amount. We wrap the cost into the loan, and we dropped his rate about 3/4 of a point. So he's saving $300 a month, and I was able to get an appraisal waiver on him as well. So he didn't even need an appraisal on this. Dude was happy. Yeah, another successful mortgage tune-up. ESPN guy was awesome.
I mean, doesn't hurt to call. Because Dustin's he'll run the numbers, and like you said a couple weeks ago, might not be anything there either.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Look, if there's no benefit, I'm going to be the first one to tell you. I got better things to do than talking to refinance that doesn't make sense. Believe me.
Nova Home Loans, Dustin DeHart, 577-2600. All right. Rapid fire. Let's go through some pickups. Now, again, we know these players are not available in every league. Right. But who have you guys located? I guess you don't want to have anyone else in your league listening right now, right? Who have you located in your league where you're like, all right, I got to nab that person? Taysom Hill that's a really in a 2-quarterback league. That's really interesting.
Yeah. DJ Chark was at the top of my list.
Yeah,
but ran with some 2s, has some continuity with a guy like Gardner Minshew. Has been really effective in 2 games as well. So I thought Chark was at the top of my list like immediately.
Yeah, I actually picked him up a couple weeks ago. There's a ton of rookie wide receivers this year. It seems like, right? Moser was a guy that's been pretty popular. I actually picked him up last week. Who knows what's going to happen with that? If you're streaming defenses, boy, if Dallas defense is on your waiver wire, probably want to grab them.
They were one of my draft picks, actually.
I lost to a guy that had the Patriots D last week. He scored 48 points. So sometimes defenses put up some serious points.
One more wide receiver, too, just because of the injury situation. Deshaun Jackson's injured. Alshon Jeffrey's injured. Goddard's injured. Nelson Aguilar is like, I looked one spot, like, they're owned in like 13% of leagues or something like that. Like Aguilar is going to be a pretty good pick.
He's available in the league I'm in. I'm looking at the list. These are deep sleepers. You know, if Aguilar had to leave the game, their next receiver up would have been Darren Sproles, who's not a receiver. Is it crazy to think, like, whatever he is, 53 years old, that he's not a bad pickup as insurance for down the road?
Yep.
Oh, he was picked up this week on my league.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and just the question marks of running back, too. Like, they don't really have a consistent runner. I think Miles Sanders would probably be the number 1 guy by the time all is said and done, but for sure. It's ridiculous how old he is.
DeMarcus Robinson, available in any leagues?
Is he better than, gosh, his name's escaping me. Who's the other receiver?
What, Hardman?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know yet.
Right.
I don't know yet.
I mean, that's the risk you take, I guess.
But Tyreek Hill is going to be down for.
He sure looked good last week.
He was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, hey, again, this is really easy analysis. Picking receivers on teams that don't have good quarterbacks, not a good option. Even if they're a great receiver.
Yeah.
You can get the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th best receiver. If they're playing with Pat Mahomes, you probably got something.
Yeah. Or picking usually sometimes I'll go picking a receiver on a bad team or with a bad defense, considering the opportunities are there to, they're going to try to throw out of deficits and things like that. So there might be a lot in terms of targets. But
can I give you a deep sleeper?
Mm-hmm.
So David Johnson, the wrist, right?
Yeah.
And he missed the whole season. That's acting up again. Just reading, not a big deal.
Edmonds, yeah.
So who is it? Chase Edmonds?
I think so, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not clear who would play.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Because I think Foster's the other guy on the running back. But I mean, if you're in a league where you have enough roster spots,
Look,
you
if
may
you're
wanna
struggling at running back, to throw him on your bench, the last spot, that's something to do.
I mean, that's scary. If David Johnson, if he's struggling with something that's been chronic and habitual in the past, that's
he has no
I'd worry.
right since he's came back.
no,
It's
he
crazy.
hasn't at all. I mean, that was a guy who a couple of years ago, you absolutely a top 5 running back, if not a top 3
Killed
draft
my
pick.
year that year.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you what. So you brought up the point of like rookie wide receivers. Rookie running backs have been great. Devin Singletary was one guy too that I stashed away, and I've started him both weeks. He's been great. I think it's a hamstring issue he's dealing with. Frank Gore's like on no teams
Here
whatsoever.
we go. Frank Gore.
Well, it's in the same vein as Darren Sproles, right? Like he's
Still the
100
lead
years
back.
old,
Yeah.
and he's still there,
It's
and he could be
crazy.
a pretty good pickup this
For
week.
5 years, we've been saying that.
Yep.
Too. And he still produces.
Phone number one more time, Dustin.
702-577-2600.
There you go. Dustin DeHart. He's in every Tuesday. Make sure to give him a call. He can clean up your mortgage situation, give you hopefully good information about how you can save money, maybe pull money out of the house. The number 577-2600.